To address the issues facing Tennesseans today, from 10 News, this is Inside Tennessee.
Good morning and welcome to Inside Tennessee. I'm your moderator, John Becker. Our guest this morning is about to become one of the most powerful lawmakers in the state of Tennessee. House Speaker-select Cameron Sexton is a UT graduate. He first was elected to the legislature almost a decade ago in 2010. His day job's in banking, and we appreciate you joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, congratulations. We'll talk about that process momentarily. First, we'll introduce our panel. On the end there is Don Bosch. He is a lawyer and runs his own law firm, also happens to be a Democrat.
Good morning, John.
Next to him, you'll see her momentarily, trust me, is Susan Richardson-Williams. There she is. She's a Republican, runs her own PR firm.
Good morning, John. Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, let's move to the Speaker-select, and I want to talk about sort of a step-back moment for you, because I think you consider Randy McNally your mentor,
Right.
the lieutenant governor, and you worked for Randy McNally and put up yard signs for Randy McNally and really worked as his driver for a little while, I think. What's it like for you to be in the same position of power, if you will, as he's leading the Senate, you're leading the House?
It's hard to describe, to be honest with you. I knew Randy in 1987 when I was at Oak Ridge. I remember going to the football game, Oak Ridge against Clinton, and seeing Randy in the stands, and you're like, oh my gosh, there's, at the time, State Representative Randy McNally. And then when I got out of college, you know, he was looking for somebody to help him on his campaigns in '94, and so I volunteered. I can't remember what I made, but it was the most fascinating experience. He had 3 counties, and we drove, put up signs, went with him everywhere, and just learned a lot from Randy at that point. And it's the days of where you had a paper 4x8s, and half my time was spinning around with a staple gun, going around stapling the signs back. But it was a very good experience.
You have talked about 2 words that will dictate how you will run the Speaker's office: stability and consistency. That seems to describe Randy McNally. What does it mean to you to use those 2 words?
Well, what it means is in the House, you can't be stable if you're not consistent. So inconsistency breeds instability, and it's a lot like members all want to be doing things that's great for their district, for the state of Tennessee, but everybody wants to be treated fairly and consistently, and they want to know what's expected, and you can't treat people differently. When you do, it causes other problems. It's just like it is in work, whether it's with your kids or at home. So you really need to have the consistency to bring stability and fairness and really treat everybody the same under all conditions.
Susan, we'll talk about some of the intrigue in a moment, but I just want to ask you, when you describe yourself as compared to Beth Harwell versus Glenn Cassida and their leadership styles, how does yours look different from theirs?
Well, I think I'm a hybrid between the both. You know, I think I'm vote your district. That's one thing that Beth did that we really liked. Also, you know, have faith and trust in your chairman that they can do their job as Speaker. My job is to put people in positions to be successful. If I don't trust the chairman to do their job, then I haven't done my job in putting them in the right spots. And in Tennessee, it would be better if you put people from all sides of the aisle where they need to be, where they can be successful, and that will move policy in the state of Tennessee. So that's what I look to do as Speaker, to really try to move us forward and put past these arbitrary problems that we have. Just because you didn't vote for me, then you get to put it in the corner. Everybody has talent. Everybody's elected by the 65,000 people, and they all deserve to be in Nashville.
You know, one of the things that I heard from legislators about Speaker Cassida was some inconsistencies, and people on our show talked
maybe
about
not fairness, just
right,
to use your word.
Right. People on our show talked about having hall monitors outside their offices, and we heard a great deal about that, which obviously concerned people. I'm assuming you're not going to have hall monitors, but was that the right thing for him to do, to step down, and do you think that he should not run for re-election, Cameron?
To step down from Speaker, yes. I mean, the caucus had a meeting and voted no confidence, and so that was the right decision. He made the right decision. As far as him stepping down from his seat, I think that's up to him at this point, and whether or not he runs for re-election, that's up to him and to the voters. You know, I feel strongly that the voters would make that decision for themselves. I don't want to interject into that equation, but what he does is what he needs to decide what's best for him and for his district.
So is there anything that a legislator can do, and I'll take a Republican legislator, can do that should cause them to step down from their seat? Because you probably know where I'm going with this question.
Right. I get it. I mean, I think, you know, criminal activities in there, if you've been charged with a crime, if there's things that happen while you're in office.
What if you admitted to one?
Well, I know where you're going with this. The omission is a very general omission, so you still don't know exactly what the omission is. What I will say is you have to be very careful, because if you go back outside the General Assembly, at what point does the General Assembly have jurisdiction over things prior what's not in it?
They can go all the way back.
They can, but then what's the precedent? I know you're an attorney, so what's the precedent that you set for future General Assemblies, and what happens at that point?
Let me just clarify what you're talking about to our viewers, because I believe that both of you are talking about Representative David Byrd. He represents a community south of Nashville. Years ago, was accused of and essentially admitted to some sexual assault of 3 adult women now. This is when he served as a coach of a basketball team back in the 70s. That's the person.
They were minors at the time.
They were minors at the time, and many people have called for him to step down, including your mentor, Senator Randy McNally. You don't follow that same line of thinking.
Well, the process is all that was debated in the last election with Representative Byrd in his district, and so both sides spent a lot of money. Enough is enough came in, spent $100,000 educating the district on exactly what they think that he did, and then he countered on whatever he wanted to counter on, and he still won with 80-some% of the vote. So it's really hard to go in and overturn an election when those issues were debated and the voters decided to send him anyway over those
So if these 3 women ask for a meeting with you to give you their side of the story, would you take that meeting?
I mean, it's possible. I serve on the ethics committee right now, and as I said in an earlier statement, probably 2 months ago, is if anything comes before that ethics committee, if you serve on it, you have to be not biased, and so you should not be able to. You seek due process, so you need to make sure you give due process if you serve on that committee. And that's the other thing that Representative Byrd needs as well, and I think both sides of the aisle agree on this issue, is that he needs due process, even as you move forward, is what's true, what's not true.
We can continue this line of questioning, but we do have to take a break. We'll be back with the speaker-to-be, that's another title we use, Cameron Sexton, right after this.